Hello, everybody. I'm Erin Thompson of Everyday Expressions. I'm so excited that you joined us today for the Alex Syberia video hop featuring her new release that's all press plates. Oh my goodness. If you haven't seen my last two videos, I'm a little obsessed right now. And it's everything that I have wanted in like one product. You can do so many things with these press plates. And I'll be honest, I haven't played a whole lot with my BetterPress before this. I created a couple of things and I really liked it. But this just opened a whole new world for me. And so I'm really excited to share this card with you today. It is, let me see if I can find it. You get a twofer on this one because I created this card with the press plate. I think this is called the Charming Florals. And then I used the negative space with the BetterPress plate from Spellbinders. It's just a solid piece, and use the negative space that created this top part. So I actually can create two cards from the one panel we started out with. And so you get a twofer on this one, and look how pretty. I mean, seriously, look at, can we get that? Look at that shine. It is the prettiest look. I am in love with this. So I hope you love it as much as I do. And join me as I walk through some tips and tricks and create a whole bunch of backgrounds using this one press plate. Lots of ideas, so many things you can do with this. So can you tell I'm excited? I'm excited. So thanks for joining us. And don't forget to leave kind comments along the video hop, and you'll be entered for some giveaways. And don't forget, we've got a blog hop going on. We have an Instagram hop going on. And this is the third video that I've created. This is how excited I am about these BetterPress plates. So there's a little bit of something for everybody and just limitless options. And so even if you don't have a foil machine, you don't need a foil machine with press plates. There's still so many beautiful things you can do. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them. And don't forget, if you don't already subscribe, please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget the notifications button so that you'll be notified every time I have a new video and tutorial. I go live every Friday night. And those are on YouTube. So you'll want to check those out, and we have a good time. And I'll be honest, lots of times my lives, not my best work always. So, but that's okay, because you see what it's really like behind the scenes. So anyway, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up and then hop along for your chance to win giveaways. All right, let's get started. So here's an intro to the new Alex Syberia products I'm going to use for this video. This is the Charming Florals background press plate with the coordinating layered stencils, and then the new Classic Sentiments press plate and die. I love how that's all one piece, and you get several sentiments that you can use for various occasions throughout the year. One of my favorite things is to have all one piece press plates and sentiments. So this entire new release is all press plates and coordinating layered stencils and dies. And if you've never used the BetterPress system, it is from Spellbinders, and that base is a magnetic base, a couple of shims underneath it, and it will securely hold your metal press plates. And it's got an A2 layout and an A7 outline layout right there. So you can easily place your plates, and then you know where your cardstock needs to go. So I am inking up here, and I don't know if you noticed, before I began, I thoroughly cleaned the brand new press plate, and you can just use water or stamp cleaner for that. Just make sure that you completely dry it, and a lot of stamp cleaners have a little bit of glycerin in them. And so just make sure you completely wipe that glycerin from the plate. But I basically like to condition all of the new press plates before I begin, just like I would a new stamp. And that way I'm sure that all of the ink is going to kind of sit on top of it nicely, and there's nothing that will repel it. And then I just clean my press plate with either water or, once again, a little bit of that stamp cleaner. So look at how beautiful when you just ink up the plate, how pretty it is. Look at those pretty flowers. I could not stop inking and creating backgrounds. And so now you see I'm moving on to the Glimmer machine. And once again, this is also from Spellbinders, and it's the hot foil system from Spellbinders. And I will go back and talk about inking up in a minute. When we get to ink blending, that'll give me some time to discuss how you go about inking up your press plates. But now this is heating up on the Glimmer machine. You always want to put your foil pretty side down so that the dull side is what adheres to your paper. You'll sit that on there. I put my paper on. I put my plates on. You need to press the timer button, and when that stops blinking, that means it's ready to move to your die machine. And what this is doing is pressing down the paper into the press plate that we've now heated and we're foiling. And watch, get ready. Look how gorgeous. I honestly believe that these press plates do a better job foiling than the original press plates or foil plates. I don't know what it is, but look, almost every single time I got a perfect foil. Look how gorgeous each one of these is. It just keeps getting better and better. I had to show you all the ones that I made. Now this is the solid plate from Spellbinders, and I wanted to show you that you can take your negative foiling from that charming floral background, and I am putting it pretty side down on that solid plate, and then put your cardstock over it, put your plates on, and then when it's finished heating, when that timer's gone off, you're going to move it and run it through your die machine. And one thing I want to point out is when you run it through your die machine, of course this is sped up a little bit, and I use one piece of cardstock shim. I don't go too fast. I don't go overly slow because I don't want to lose the heat at the back end of the plate, but I run it through at just like a moderate speed. And then let's see, look at that. Now that is the negative space from that press plate. That was the charming florals. There it is again. I've used the negative from the original foils. So you get a twofer, and that's what I wanted to point out. It is the gift that keeps on giving. So you get the beautiful florals in two different ways when if you have that plate. And once again, that one's Spellbinders, that's not Alex, but you get two beautiful florals from one press plate from Alex. So these are the sentiments I just wanted to show you. There's I think that's called Aura Gold. I do a silver, and then and that one's a black foil. It doesn't have a lot of sheen to it, but I wouldn't say it's matte either. Now I'm using the negatives and running those through using that plate. And you're going to get double the sentiments when you run it through the die machine. You're getting the silver, and then you get the negative, which is the background. And the other thing to point out, here's one of my favorite tips. When you foil those sentiments, don't forget that because you've used a really good cardstock. By the way, for foiling, you need a really good smooth cardstock. And I know that Spellbinder sells one, but I use the Hammermill 100 pound because it's what I use for most everything in my craft room. And because it is a very good quality, smooth, heavy cardstock, I get these beautiful foiled impressions. Look at that. I wanted to show you all of them. There's the positive and the negative from that charming florals background. Here are all of the inked backgrounds that I created. Aren't they pretty? I did a black. I did a navy. That glam is that burgundy plum color. I think that's Daydream. And then that's Cummerbund, I think, from Catherine Pooler Inks. Beautiful, beautiful impressions on every single one. So this is the foiled, the original foiled plate, foil, using the plate, and now I'm using the coordinating charming floral stencils, and I'm going to ink this up. And I'm using my sticky mat from Picket Fence Studios. It's called a paper inking palette. I love it because this is 8x8. It will hold my A2 size card. It holds the stencil down, and then it will even hold my ink pad so that I only need one hand to pick up ink on my blending brush and then ink that up. And that is, I can't remember what color that is. It's a red violet. I can't read it to tell you, but the next one is Pixie Dust. And I like that these red violets added in a little bit of more pink. And then we're going to use the purples for the little buds. And I think it's a really nice contrast. You see that I'm using a smaller ink blending brush to give it a little bit more depth on those flowers. I have not changed the stencil yet to the detailed one. I'm only using the original one. I'm just adding a little bit of depth to that original color. And then you'll see in a moment when I switch, I believe, let's see what I'm going to do here. Okay, so I've still left the first stencil, and I was just very careful not to ink too much into the buds because I wanted these buds to be the purples. So this is still stencil number 1. I have not switched yet, and I'm on my, third ink color. And using now I've even moved on to using a very small detailed ink blending brush. I highly recommend, if you don't have different sizes of blending brushes, that you have these in your stash because they're perfect for inking up different things like this and really getting in that detail exactly where you want it. Now I've moved on to Drive-In to add a little bit more depth to the base of these flower buds, on these purple flower buds. So one thing that I wanted to point out while you see me inking, and I'll move on to the second stencil in a moment, and that one will add the detail with the darker colors to all of the flowers and the buds. That will be stencil number 2. But I wanted to go back and talk about when you ink up your press plates. I will tell you that BetterPress releases, they worked with Ranger to create a more viscous or heavyweight ink in the archival line, and you can get different colors now, and I think they do have a full-size black ink pad, but the originals were small, and I think the other colors may be small, I'm not sure. But I have to tell you, when I ink up my press plate, I really like using a bigger ink pad because the small ones tend to fill in like some spaces, and it kind of makes a mess on the background magnetic plate. And obviously that doesn't hurt your cardstock when you're doing the press. However, it's just very messy, and I prefer using a full-size ink pad. And you do not have to use the BetterPress ink. You can use just about any ink pad. I used the Catherine Pooler ink pads. They're a water-based dye ink. And one thing that I like about the Catherine Pooler ink pads and using something like a press plate is that they are a little bit heavier weight ink. They're a little bit more viscous. Even though it's a water-based dye ink, it's a little bit heavier. And it really seemed to stick to the press plates very well. I have heard that you can use other water-based dye inks. I haven't really used them because Catherine Pooler is pretty much my go-to. But the other thing that worked really well with the press plates and the Catherine Pooler inks is that they are a foam ink pad. And foam ink pads, as long as you keep them well inked, they're very juicy. So it transfers a lot of ink onto the press plate. Now, because of that, you have to be very careful. It's easy to push too hard and you over ink. So you just want to take your ink pad and hold it flat, and gently tap, 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 just kiss the plate and make sure you go all over it so that you have a good inking. You don't really want any lines or blank spots. Look, I wanted to stop. Look at that background. It is gorgeous with the foiling. And here I wanted to show you another one that I did with the black background and pinks, and then also the negative foiling and then the positives. So now I'm getting ready to put my card together, and a lot of it's self-explanatory. This is another benefit of that foam ink pad actually. You can go direct ink to paper. If you've watched my other videos, I do this a lot. This way you can match your background to the inks that you've blended, and you hold your ink pad at about a 45-degree angle, and because it's foam, you gently swipe down your paper and it puts a nice even coverage. Once again, as long as your foam pad is well inked and it's kind of juicy, look at that. And then the other nice thing is the ink, as it dries back, it blends together and you get a nice, it moves through the paper, through the fibers, and you get a beautiful well inked paper. It smooths out and looks phenomenal. So that is going back to the foam ink pads. You just want to gently kiss the plate, tap, 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 and make sure you have full coverage, and you'll get a beautiful print every single time. Now you see I've taken the inked background and I'm using the nested scallop frame dies to create a background and to give that pretty perforation on that background layer for our card base. I'm going to add foam tape to all of it so I have lots of dimension. And then now you're going to see that I'm taking that inked background, and do not panic. It's okay. Here's the really cool thing about cutting this in half. And then I'm taking the negative foil background, I'm going to put them together, and now I get two cards for this one original foil. This is one of the reasons why I cannot get enough of using the BetterPress system. I had this in my craft room for months. I had used it a couple of times, as I said in the intro, but this release from Alex, I have to say I love being on the design team. And yes, here's my disclaimer. Alex did send these to me at being on the design team, but this is truly all of these new press plates have really inspired me to use this tool again and again and again. So if I can inspire you in some way by these makes, that just makes me happy, because I think the possibilities for these plates are endless. And I know these plates in particular, I can use them over and over and over again. You saw how many backgrounds I created just inking them up. I mean, I made like what, 4, 5, 6. And then the fact that you can foil on top of that, it's just adds another layer. And stay tuned, because I will have another video showing another way you can use these press plates. I'm telling you, it just goes on and on and on. I could not stop creating with these beautiful plates. So stay tuned for that video, because it's coming. So here I am. I've added all the foam. I have that really pretty scalloped background just in white, and I'm layering that up over our inked background. And then I have added foam. I believe I already added the foam to the, there we go. I'm adding the foam to the panel that I created with both the negative and the positive. And once again, that's another way that these press plates work. You can use one foil and get the original press, foiled press, but then take the negative if you have the background plate, and it changes the look completely. You get a whole new look. okay, I have to point this out, and I left this in on purpose. This is a lesson. I, I reminded myself, you should always pick your sentiment before you start putting together your card. Because here's what happened. I cut that one little strip, and now none of my sentiments, I don't think, work well with the size of it. So you're going to see that I go back, and I've already glued it on. So this is how I fixed it, okay? Because we all run into these problems. So I always try to leave a lot of these whoopsies moments in so that you can see, and I have a lot of them. Please don't think that because you see a pretty finished card, I am just like everybody else, and probably even worse. It takes me a long time to make a card. You see, when I get new products, I play and play and play and play to really figure out how they work, and then decide what I want to use out of all those samples. So I created another background, and look at that. I don't like when I cut it and there's that white edge. This kind of goes to mini album making. So I ink up the edges, and it kind of, there's another tip, makes it look a little bit more finished and professional because I'm not going to see that white edge. All I'm going to do is add some glue and glue it right over that original smaller strip, and no one will know that that's back there. It doesn't add any extra layers or dimension, and it will cover it up perfectly. So that's what I did just to get that wider space. Make sure one more time that my sentiment fits, and there I'm adding it. And it looks really pretty. No one would know that the other one's back there. And then I'm going to add foam tape to my sentiment because, you know, more is more when it comes to foam tape. That's me. And then I will finish the card by adding some gems, and that's it. And look how pretty we've got the twofer in the foil, and now you're going to get a twofer, and you have frames for another card, backgrounds for another card. So it is truly the gift that keeps on giving, and I love it with these press plates. And by the way, I wanted to show you, look at all of the sentiments that I created just from using the original press sentiments and then using the negative space again. And by the way, I add glue to my foam because it gives me more wiggle room. I can make sure that I get it placed exactly the way I want and it's straight. So there we go. What do you think? Have you tried the BetterPress yet? And all of these new press plates, I cannot wait to see what you create. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe and hit that notification button. Don't forget to also hop along and leave kind comments for all of the designers along the way. And that way you'll be entered into the giveaway. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.